Welcome back to Publicized Theory Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Ocasio. For those of you who are tapping in with me for a second week straight after the debut of the first episode, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of you who are tapping in with me for the very first time and you did not listen to the last episode, you all are now officially day ones of the Publicized Theory Podcast. I told that to the listeners of last week, and I'm telling you all that now. We are locked in for life. The amount of love that I received last week after the first episode, let me start off by saying that was amazing. Family, friends, people DMing me, people showing love, people excited for the journey just as much as I'm excited for this journey, is what it seemed like. And to feel that is a confidence booster. It definitely helps in pursuing this with more, like I said, confidence and aggression, and just it meant a lot, is basically what I'm getting at. And for those of you who may provide feedback on this episode, don't hesitate, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I need all the feedback I can get. I'm a first time podcaster. I'm a first time person who is actively broadcasting their thoughts to the world. That's basically what podcasting is. You're broadcasting your thoughts to the world. And that in itself requires a lot of mental leaps and a lot of confidence and a lot of just courage. I guess that's the right word, courage. So again, you all are day ones. You all are what will keep this podcast growing, and you all are who I do it for. So again, thank you all for tapping in with me for another episode. This episode is a nice episode because we're going to be talking about opportunities and how opportunities are literally all around us. But there are certain things that don't necessarily allow those opportunities to come in our direction if we're not prepared for them, if we're not in the right state of mind for them, if we are tapping into limiting beliefs and limiting ourselves in our thought processes and in our mindset. So without further ado, let's dive into this opportunity discussion together. And when all is said and done, I know that we all will be better off for it. The thing about opportunities is they will evade us any which way they can. And the reason they will evade us is because if we're the type of person who is limiting in our beliefs and who doubts your capabilities and who doesn't feel like they're good enough for that job or that promotion or whatever the case may be, you name it, those opportunities will evade us if that's the case, because we are not actively positioning ourselves to be attractive to those opportunities. We are not aligning ourselves with opportunity. We are more so aligning ourselves with a lack of progression, a lack of advancement, and a lack of upward mobility within our lives. And there's this theory that's called the red card theory. Now, the red card theory goes like this. If I were to ask you, after you came back from work or after you went out to get groceries or did your errands, hey, while you were out, how many red cars did you see on the road? An average response would be, I don't know. I probably saw a red car. I probably didn't, but I'm not too sure. And that's fine. If I were to tell you, okay, the next time you go out to run errands or go to work, or just the next time you're out and about in general, I want you to look out for red cards. I want you to be in search of all the red cards you see, or at least be mindful of the red cars that are out there while you're out. Now, when you get back and I ask you, hey, how many red cars did you see today on the road while you were out and about? Your response most likely will be, I actually saw 1 or 2 red cars while I was out today. The reason for that is your mind was actively looking and searching and mindful of red cars that were out there. I bring up that theory because that's essentially how life works. That's essentially how opportunities are created. And when we think about things that have come into our lives, whether we were prepared for them or whether we were anticipating them, in most cases, we were actively looking and seeking and putting ourselves in a position to be ready to receive that next step, that opportunity. But to the contrary, when we have a mindset that is doubtful, that is fearful, that is focused primarily on a scarcity mindset kind of approach. There's not enough out there for me. I can't put myself in a position to get X. I don't think I'm ready for Y, and Z will never show up at my doorstep. Those are the times and the moments in our lives where we actually create moments where no opportunities come into our life. The reason for that is we're not actively aligning ourselves with receiving those opportunities. And that's something that it's easy to fall victim to, because there's a lot of times where things will not go our way. There are a whole host of moments where we may look back and say, wow, like I was definitely due for that promotion. I was definitely looking forward to taking the next step in my career. I was definitely looking forward to advancing in my field of work. And you may be doing all the work. You may be putting in all the effort, but are you paying attention to the little thoughts that come in your head that may say that you're not ready? Or even have imposter syndrome on you feeling like you don't belong. These are all valid thoughts that you may have. It's not wrong feeling that way. It's not wrong feeling as though you're not good enough for the opportunity that will and can present itself. But on the opposite side of that is feeling like you are good enough, feeling like you can accomplish everything that you need to in order to be ready for that opportunity. And feeling like if the opportunity did present itself, you will still find a way to be ready for that opportunity and perform at your best level. David Goggins, he wrote a book called Can't Hurt Me. And in that book, he talked about building what he calls a mental cookie jar. And that mental cookie jar is composed of cookies that are your wins and your accomplishments and some of your biggest moments in your life. And that mental cookie jar is meant to be a catalyst for you when you are feeling down, when you are feeling doubtful, when you are feeling not good enough, or when you're at your lowest. The goal of the mental cookie jar is to be there so you can tap into that cookie jar and remind yourself, like, hey, you remember when you accomplished that goal that you thought would be impossible to accomplish? Or that journey that you went through that you came out on the other side on? That mental cookie jar will always be there. And what I loved about that concept is we all have mental cookies right now that we can fill up the jar with. We all have things that we've accomplished in our lives to date. We all have wins that we have achieved in our lives to date. We all have things that we've overcome and we've battled through that we can add to that cookie jar. So I say all that to say, think about crafting and developing your mental cookie jar. What are things that you can put in your mental cookie jar today that you can tap back into sometime in the future or maybe even today to tell yourself and to remind yourself, like, hey, I'm great. I can overcome this. I've done it before. There are opportunities that are coming my way. I'm ready for them and I'm aligning myself with them right now. The mental cookie jar is there and it'll always be there. And that's another thing I love about the concept. It'll always be there. There's no going back. You can't take away the past. So it'll live forever in your mind. And it'll always be there for you to tap into at some point in time in the future. Develop and craft a mental cookie jar and tell yourself, I can accomplish all of this. I can receive these opportunities. I'm ready for them. Will they come when I want it to all the time? Probably not. But that does not mean I cannot be ready for them right now. And the mental cookie jar isn't meant to be tapped out and full, because every day you may have a micro win that you can add to that cookie jar. You may have small wins, big wins, medium-sized wins, whatever you can add to that mental cookie jar that you've overcome in any given day or any aspect of your life. Add it to your mental cookie jar and remember it in the future when you're feeling low, when you're having a bad day, when things don't seem to be going your way. And I guarantee you that it'll help you in so many different ways. It'll be a steady presence in your life, not only because it lives in your mind, but because you will continue to accomplish things in your life. And that's the ultimate goal, to continue to get better, to continue to grow, to continue to live our best lives while becoming the best version of ourselves. And remember, opportunities are all around us. They're there for the taking. People do not elevate in their lives because they weren't given opportunity. Opportunity is all around us. And we just have to acknowledge that we play a role in the opportunities coming into our lives. And the moment we acknowledge that, we align ourselves with that frequency, the moment we will begin to spot and see and be able to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there. And with that being said, think about that. Begin to craft your mental cookie jar. Begin to tap into that frequency. Begin to align yourself with the things that you want. And if you do have limiting beliefs, if you do feel doubtful, if you do feel fearful, change that approach, change that mindset, change that way of thinking, and flip it on its head and tell yourself, I can get that job. I'm ready for that job. I could receive this promotion. I'm ready to take the next step. And I will do everything in my power to align myself and to be ready for what's to come. Because I know that there are opportunities out there that have my name on it. And that's all I have for you on this episode of Publicized Theory Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening for the last 10 minutes or so. Please, 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 please rate, comment, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram at Publicized Theory. You can follow us on TikTok at Publicized Theory. You can also follow my personal pages on Instagram at RSVPAnt, on TikTok as well at RSVPAnt. And for those of you who are wondering, where are the opportunities? The answer to that question is pretty simple. They're all around us. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed.